Hi, today I'm delighted to be talking to Edd Moore, an award-winning primary teacher with an incredible track record in leading successful environmental projects and empowering young people to be agents of change. Hi, Edd.
Hey,
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me at the end of a school day. I follow your amazing school achievements on LinkedIn and on Facebook with a real sense of awe and wonder. In terms of environmental education, what were the first steps on your journey? How did you get started?
yeah, it started 12 years ago. In at the school that I'm already at. I'm here in my NQT year. It started with the garden. My granddad had a passion for gardening. He was a head teacher himself. He loved getting out into the garden and teaching his pupils about where their food came from. And literally, he would grow everything from seed in his greenhouse. And when you could, he would encourage his pupils to come around his house and he would show them how to garden. This is in the 60s, 70s. And then me, when I was growing up, I learned from him. I learned from him about growing, and I thought it was really important that we instilled that within children, because children, they still think that their food comes from the supermarket, and it's so important, and that they learn that they can actually grow their own in their back garden at their school, and it tastes so much more better for them.
School gardening is kind of where I started as well. And one of the first lessons I did, we grew some radish, and they grow so fast. And the kids picked one, and they'd planted the seed, they'd watered the seed, they'd tended the seed. And then I got them to pick the radish. And one of them looked at it and went, "It's magic, miss." And it was like, no, it's a radish. But that's it. They don't really get where their food comes from. So, that story with your grandfather is really inspirational. So how is climate and sustainability education now managed in your school? Do you find that you're driving environmental education alone from the chalk face, or do you have a supportive leadership team?
Yeah, we're very fortunate here at Damis First School. We've got a great SLT team that from the off, they've been really supportive of our environmental work. It started, with the occasional environmental weeks, but now it's fully embedded within our school curriculum across all subjects. It goes down like a golden thread, and we use another inspirational guy, Richard Dunn. We use his Harmony project to implement inquiry questions within our half-termly planning.
Excellent. And so it's really good to hear that it's led from the top, because, if you look at David Dixon's book, Leadership Sustainability, if you have that supportive team in place, it can make a huge amount of difference to the teachers feeling that, as you say, can lead the children through the curriculum with like a golden thread that, we need to live sustainably, and they need to know about it. I really like hearing about that. Is there a sustainability lead in your school?
Yes, there is. Yeah, so I'm the sustainability lead. I keep everybody up to date with what's going on with the DFE and the sustainability climate strategy. I plan the lessons. I support staff. I'm also a support to other schools within our academy MAT, our Wessex MAT, helping them to implement actions within their schools.
Okay, so then that's as the DFE want all schools to have a sustainability lead by 2025. So what are the most important skills for that role? You must be a good communicator, but what else?
Yeah, good communicator, great organisation, have a passion. I think you've really got to have a passion and a drive to be able to, push it forwards, keep the momentum going. I think that's really important too. But be able to sort of galvanise your school team to get behind it and inspire young children, to feel empowered to want to take it forwards.
Yeah, and as soon as you start creating those ripples, they create waves, and you can really make an impact. So you do eco schools, don't you? Have you got any possible words of advice on challenges and opportunities for other teachers who are thinking of just about starting their own eco committee?
Yeah, definitely. I would make sure that each class is represented within your school with an eco rep or an eco ambassador. and have a display board there where you can have ideas, where people can put questions in a box sort of thing, or ideas in a box, so then everybody sort of feels included in, because there's so much passion within schools. Everybody wants to be an eco rep, but you can only select so many. You can't have 300, 400 children wanting to be an eco rep, but they can still play a part of that. And I would concentrate on doing like one project, start with one project, to encourage. Start small, and then build up from there.
Because I love the article. One of the reasons I actually got in contact with you is it was the article on the local authority providing your pupils with lessons on materials recycling, and it was the aim that they could go home and with the do's and don'ts of to share that with the folk at home, and encouraging children to take their own action, make them feel like they can be leaders. What other another couple of successful projects? Can you give us more to tempt other people to do the same?
Yeah, so we did becoming a single-use plastic-free school. That went on for sort of 2 years, which then children phoned up suppliers that we worked with. They wrote letters. A great one, I think, was when the children went back and forth with our fruit and veg company, and they were reluctant to give us our fruit and veg in cardboard boxes. And eventually, after sort of 12 months, they've basically succumbed to. They got fed up, I think, of like children. I'll basically phone up and then hand the phone over and say, "Oh, by the way, I've got Louis. He's 8 years old. He wants to have a chat with you."
That's amazing that you really use pester power, but put the kids in that role. That's empowering young people. And I don't want to put the weight of the world on the kids' shoulders, but actually, that use of young people's voices, even the UN says we should listen to the young people's voices and lift them high. So it seems and then that saves, materials use and saves waste. The tangible rewards for doing this in schools are definitely worth the effort. I know it can be really tiring. By understanding the issues and taking action, schools can really be drivers of change. Have you got any other good examples of your schools affecting the wider community? You've already given me a couple, but any more?
Yeah. So at the moment, we're working on a campaign. We want a safe cycle route from our town centre all the way up to just past our school. It was something that was promised sort of 6 years ago, and it hasn't come. And we've been on this campaign for 18 months now. We had the head of highways in last week with the councillors, and the children put them to task. I think they didn't realise they were sort of answering their questions, but then the children were coming back with more questions, and I think that really took them off guard. But it was the children presented themselves so well that they got their message across to them in a nice, calm manner, and it was that nice debating way. They were learning skills of debating that you might see in the House of Commons.
Absolutely. I mean, that skills building that can be used in these environmental sort of projects that we do in schools, problem solving, critical thinking, creative thinking, oracy, listening skills, teamwork skills. There's so many opportunities here for using environmental action and projects in schools. And I love the fact that you've got there, you've already mentioned projects about growing things, about waste projects and plastic, reducing plastic, about transport. And you're really thinking about the great, these across the social spectrum, we've got all of these challenges, but that we can take action in schools for the greater good. And have you also, you said about threading sustainability across the curriculum. Is that across all subjects? So in RE and in English, how are you doing that?
Yeah, so it's based around inquiry questions. So, for example, we've done in the past, what's your favourite wildflower? And they've gone through all the identification of flowers and trees, which I feel really passionate about, that children should know what's around them and what their names are. And then, linking that with like our literacy text, where this girl wants to rewild a not so well looked after car park, and she ended up rewilding it. So then we rewilded an area of our local community. The children went round and they picked the wildflower seeds, and then they sprinkled those seeds onto this like bare patch of land. and now it looks beautiful when it comes out in the summer. It's full of amazing wildflowers, bees, butterflies. So it's creating that real life. And then, you know, through that, you've got science, you've got your geography, you've got your art, literacy, maths.
So yeah, the Ministry of Eco Education curriculum is based around these questions. What's it take to make a cup of tea? Because, you know, we make a cup of tea, boil the kettle, but what's it actually take to make a cup of tea? And so the amount of processes behind it, you know, really get the kids thinking and things. So in the Ministry of Eco Education, we talk about supporting teachers and educators as activators to drive change. You sound like you've got unlimited energy. How can we promote education for sustainable futures with teachers who are often feeling tired, or that they lack the freedom to act with autonomy?
I've always felt really passionate about this, and I always think that, you know, if the DfE wants us to get to where they're with their targets, there needs to be an incentive to eco leads. There needs to be like a TLR linked to this. There needs to be more of a an increase in you know, in salary and time as well, and funding for schools. I think that's really important too. You know, schools aren't as well funded as they, you know, as they should be. And if we want to meet the, you know, the DfE targets of, you know, getting to net zero by 2030, 2035, there needs to be some money put in there by the DfE to sort of say, we value what you're doing. We value the staff and the eco leads. Now here's a bit of money to help you to get along your way and to, you know, to meet these, you know, these really important targets.
Because the nature parks are lovely, but only 1,000 schools get funding, you know, and you know, that means that all of these other schools, 22,000 other schools or so, you know, are really struggling. And that's just the nature park side of things, let alone the, you know, trying to make schools more sustainable themselves and trying to get, you know, better meals in schools, better equipment, plastic. Yeah, there's so much work to do. And I agree with you. I'd say that you know, it has to come from central government, local government starting to try and do things, but without that support from right at the center, it's a challenge. It's tiring as you know, the teachers trying to lead environmental action in schools and trying to be, you know, support young people to be the change. Ed, that's been an incredibly enjoyable discussion. There's so much change going on in climate and sustainability education. We know it's challenging to keep on top of what's going on, but your passion for change makes you stand out and made you feel like the ideal person to talk to. And I can't wait to see what you get up to next.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
So thank you for your time. I'm going to go off and enjoy some space in the great outdoors. Still waiting for spring, but it'll be here eventually. Thank you.
No, thanks very much.
Super.